mouse to test the sound. Well, it looks like I just did. Looks like it's working. Have you had to log into LinkedIn? I've logged in 3 or 4 times so far today. Really annoying. Anyway, not that we should care about that, right? Can we care about that? No, LinkedIn is so wonderful that we don't even have to think about it, right? I'm trying to see if I'm live over on LinkedIn. I don't see myself there. I see a cup of coffee from Phoenix. Am I live on something? I don't see Periscope coming up. They're always a little slower. LinkedIn is usually quick, but I don't have any notifications that I'm there. So we'll just trust it. That's a dangerous idea, right? Especially when I've had to log in 3 times already this morning. Maybe it logged me out. No, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's just totally not working. Well, we do record these, so if worst case, I'll just chop it up and send it over. But I see nothing to indicate that I'm on LinkedIn. I'm reloading it again. And yeah, just doesn't seem to be anything. Oh, here I am. Okay, so Periscope's working, so that's something. At least we got that. Yep, and the sound is working. So that must be where, yeah, that's where Keith is. What are we going to do when Periscope shuts down? Who knows? Something else. You can always watch on YouTube. Now it's working on YouTube, so I invite you to go over there in an emergency. Just Google or whatever, search Miglash, and it comes right up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. I have a bit of a conundrum. Like I said, I'm going through scientific advertising that I got free at scientificadvertising.com, although I paid the $10 and got the audio book or the video book. And I made it into an audio book. And they said, trying to convince people of, like, the illustration they used was deodorant, I think. Trying to convince the French of deodorant. And of course, in the 20s, that's probably true. And there was a couple others, that you don't want to, or toothpaste. I think it was toothpaste, that you should use toothpaste and brush your teeth. If you're trying to convince people to use toothpaste, first of all, it's hard. And second of all, if you do, you're just sharing all that with the rest of your competitors. And this morning, Scott Adams said, if you're an advocate, if people think of you as really fighting for something in particular, that takes away all your credibility. So I'm in the conundrum of fighting for mail, and I hope you think of me that way, that John fights for mail. Maybe I should put that in my description. But does that help me in particular? No, I'm not an ad agency. I'm not a list company. I'm not a printer. I help mail companies. So it helps me in a sort of a vague general way. But the big consulting firms, the best of practice, are out destroying companies. From what I can tell, and this is only on firsthand knowledge, go find someone else. So I believe that I have a niche as the president of the Wisconsin DMA for advocating direct mail. And yeah, I did the mail moment. This is Keith's out there yelling at me here. No, do all caps if you want to yell at me. That's the way you do it. Anyway, I can only drink so much coffee. So let's dig in. We'll cut this out on somewhere on the podcast. The podcasts are actually the tightest of everything I do because, sometimes you can't see what's going on. But so what you have is you have John advocating for mail and direct marketing as president of the Wisconsin DMA. Probably not going to benefit from that. Probably only trying to help the industry. So that gives me a little smidgen of credibility it's a man with one eye is king among the blind in the marketing world. If you have any credibility at all, you maybe are quite a few steps above the norm. But that said, I do advocate for mail, and you're stuck with me that way. But if you want to do it right, you may want to give me a call. That's all I got to say. Right, Keith? In fact, let's talk today if we can. Kate's coming over, my style consultant. Hopefully she'll be here in a minute. But anyway, let's start with some fun on let's start with some fun from Brad Hoffman, CEO of Arandell Printing in Milwaukee, just down the street from me, and this is an interview in print industry, and really well done. And I just excerpted off a little part at the end. So here it comes.
Certainly your firm is a major player in the printed catalog market. How do you think, printed catalogs sort of still fit within the marketing mix with so much attention given, obviously to the online marketing?
Another great question, Mark. I would say a couple things. First, marketers are going to use well-designed catalogs for the very simple reason that they work. They've been around for a long, long time. They're tried and they're true. And that's why marketers continue to use them. But secondly, catalogers and catalogs complement and enhance the other marketing omni-channel efforts. They don't compete with them; they complement them, much in the same way as, say, beer and pretzels, wine and cheese, peanut butter and jelly. I mean, they complement and go together.
It's a Wisconsin
I would say a
illustration.
well-designed catalog event should be timed and coordinated with digital and broadcast channels. And using an accurate attribution model will prove out the catalog's effectiveness time and again, especially when it's combined with these other channels. And oftentimes, we hear about consumers who experience digital fatigue, between all the emails, the texting, the Twitters, and all the other social media platforms out there. And a simple, quiet, non-intrusive catalog is a most welcome alternative to the digital bombardment some of us encounter each and every day. So I think those are kind of some of the things that differentiate a catalog, that complement the digital channel. But I would say a couple more things. One is it's a tactile experience, and that's an important differentiator with catalogs because it combines both the look and the feel. And catalogs, I believe, provide a much better forum for storytelling and brand building in this attention deficit world that we live in. And it does so much in the same way as reading a good book. It's far more engaging than just passively watching a movie.
So Brad, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I enjoyed it and I appreciate it.
To all our viewers, thank you so much for watching Impressions Exchange. We'll see you next time.
Okay, and that was Mark from Impressions Exchange, from Printing Impressions. So that was great. And a lot of good points. A lot of good points were made there, as you know. And so we're gonna touch on those again in another article from Heinz Marketing. I believe they're out in Seattle. And Payal, I wrote to her. I don't know her, but just a wonderful, wonderful article. And so we're gonna. Oh, thanks for the hearts. And so we're going to go that way. Hey, David, nice to see you on. And David, yeah, I don't know David that well, but he watches this live stream, so he's got to be pretty smart. And so I'd love to work close with you, David. If we get a call, call David too, and so then I'll know who to send it to. And Keith too. Keith, excellent. Oh my gosh, he was a past president of the WDMA. So we got some great skill here represented today on the show, as usual, right? As usual, sure, of course. So now let's get over to this wonderful article from Heinz Marketing. Does your 2021 strategy include direct mail? Now, if you've been with me for this week, you know that strategy and tactics are different, okay? So if you say, well, I want to reach executive decision makers, C-suite, that's your strategy, okay? Now, having said that, mail may be the absolute best way to do it because tactically you can get a package or a well-designed or personal envelope to a CEO or a CMO. Jackie Stracco is the CMO of the USPS, and I asked one of her people how do I get to Jackie? Now, we did connect, and so we have exchanged a few messages on LinkedIn. But I'd really like to talk with Jackie, maybe buy her lunch. Yes, I'd fly to Washington, D.C., I think, just to meet. But if she ever gets to Chicago, I'd definitely go there. And they said to me, handwrite a letter. So I actually have, well, I won't show you, but I have a handwritten letter. The start of it, the trouble is I don't know what to say. That's a different issue completely. But tactically, I was told. Now you say, well, that's just the USPS. No, that's everybody. We've used so many. Hey, Monica, nice to see you. I have personally used many three-dimensional packages and hand-done or looking mailers to CEOs because they get through the gatekeeper if you do it well, right? I mean, try phone calls today. It doesn't work at all, right? We used to be able to do that, right? Or even sales calls. You can't talk to anybody now because they won't. They're not even at their office. And even though you say, well, they're not at the office right now, so why mail them to the office? Well, because they will get their mail. Every now and then they will. They'll come in and get their mail, or someone will take it to them. And so it's like, okay, so you got this? So the strategy would be, we want to reach executive suite decision makers. The tactic is mail. You could say, oh, what we want to do is we want to send them, I don't know. Digitally, what would you do to get to the CEO? Send them a custom video link? I've done that. Doesn't work very well. Mail would work better. But the strategy is the target, the message, the branding, all of that kind of stuff for your company that really doesn't change much. The tactic could be mail. So starting off, we want to say the tactic is mail, not strategy probably. But anyway, after saying that, I will talk to you about how to make mail a strategy. There is an answer to that. It's not this article. They stop short of it, but I will explain how to do it. And it fits with what Brad had to say. Okay, so you might think that direct mail is dead, but your marketing plan will be more effective if you include mail. We all know, dangerous thing to say because most people don't know. It takes a lot of touches, and this is an average and stuff. I've generated leads one touch, of course. I've generated B2B orders one touch. One mailing does generate orders in B2B, I can tell you. And it certainly can generate lots of leads, okay? I've generated hundreds of thousands of leads, one touch. But I thought it was really interesting, the word touches used. And touches here and touches. Touching these products is mostly digital. You're not touching those prospects digitally. There's no touch. Here, I touch the screen. Can you see me touching you? No. Touch the camera. You're not touching. I had a Zoom type call with my granddaughter, and she gave me a kiss, but I didn't feel it. I felt it in my heart, but not in my physicality. So direct mail is engaging. Good play. Absolutely right. I think Brad touched on this too. Direct mail engages. I would say that even at its worst, even when it goes right in the trash, it has more engagement than digital. Okay? Hey, Ruth, I think I was talking about you, actually. I think you're the one who told me to send Jackie a mailer. So I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that was you that told me that. I still haven't done it. Keep after me on that. It was somebody on your side of the country. I know that. But anyway, this was really good. Throw in some peel, reveals, zip strips, or play with different textures and ink finishes. Hey, look at what I got yesterday. Wait, I'll change the camera here if I can figure that out. I've got too many things overlapping here. My comments are overlapping my control panel. Look at this. Look at this. Professor Paragon. Okay? This is a mailer with a satin finish on this side. Satin finish. And it says, It says offers soft touch lamination at the same price as gloss and matte laminates. Go ahead. Feel the soft touch. Woo! It's so nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, and so I gave him a call, and Doug, the owner, answers the phone over there. So that's kind of cool. Here's the backside. I said, why is there no, you can't see it. I guess it's too bright. Why is there not a QR code on this, Doug? But anyway, I connected with Bob, his son, and hopefully we'll have some fun talking printing together. But isn't that great? I don't think I've ever heard of Paragon Printing. They said they're going to do a series of them right here in Milwaukee. 2020 was rough. 2021 is much softer. It's corny. I know it's corny. Hey, one of my best friends, when he started his dental practice, when he was just out of dental school, I said, why don't you try some mail? Well, he was too cheap to do mail, but he printed up some flyers, so he did print, and he sent kids out in the neighborhood around his dental practice. You could use Every Door Direct, and he had them rubber band on there, but the brochure had a big picture of a chicken on it, and it said, "Are you chicken?" And then it said, "Painless Dentistry." And he got about 50 new customers from that, and it launched his whole business, which he just sold a couple of months ago. I tried to help him with that too. Anyway, textures, peel and reveal. Remember those old Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes? And you were supposed to put the stamps in the places, and they had all this, maybe it was when I was a kid. They had all these stamps, and it's like, why would you do all that stamps? Why don't you just give me a checkbox or something? Well, it turned out that that built engagement, that people remembered it, people interacted with it. What does a QR code do on a print ad? It messes up the design, Lisa. It connects, we'll be honest here, serious. It connects the physical with the digital, okay? It also is a great tracking device, right? Because your QR code should be unique to that list or that creative or that timing of that offer. So QR codes can do a lot of work. We used to use a fat, you can drive to a landing page. You don't have to do that, We're working on something where you can actually place the order. Skip the landing page, skip the order process, the shopping cart altogether. Working on that today. Okay, going on. Direct mail is tangible. We already did the dog thing. Okay, let's get back over to the article so you can see it. Data suggests a decline in total mail pieces people receive these days compared to a decade ago. That alone helps your piece stand out. Absolutely. I got a couple of dumb stuff like from my bank, and I got this. It's the only junk mail. I don't have a problem with calling it that. If I'm not interested in buying printing, it is. If I'm interested in buying printing, it's not. It's not the mailing piece itself. It's how the mailing piece and you react to each other. So my wife throws away my hunting catalogs. I would like to throw away her Chadwick's of Boston, but I wouldn't dare because she's the decision maker. Direct mail goes to the decision maker, and if the decision maker doesn't want it today, they might want it tomorrow. Keep the design simple. You can include a gift card. Sendozo. I looked up what's Sendozo. These young people, they give me new stuff I haven't heard of. Sendozo claims to send anything you want in business. Gifts, plants, flowers, direct mail, anything you want to do, you can send it, especially to businesses. So that's, I haven't explored that. I'd love to hear from somebody from Sendozo, or if anybody has, that was Keith who said drives to the landing page. Okay, direct mail is personal. Doesn't have to be. Could be. Sometimes it gets you in trouble. But what I like about it is you can segment your audience, and your competitors probably don't know you're doing it, right? So many times with machine learning and AI, we found markets that were untapped in a company and created millions of dollars of sales. And I've told you some of those stories. But what we didn't want to do was necessarily tell our existing market about the new market, because it might be a lower price market, or it might be competitive to our core customers. We don't want to say, hey, everybody, we're going to go to this new market now. And I've seen so many mailers and so many brand advertisers do it. They come up with a message that's, say, environmental, and maybe their audience isn't that concerned about that, or some other issue, social issue that they want to pitch. And they can pitch it. That's up to them. I don't care what a company wants to say. But they go after that, and rather than reward the social issue that they're trying to help, they actually undermine their own business and that social issue by telling everybody, most of whom doesn't care or maybe disagrees with it. Because, for every position you take, there's an alternate position. Okay, so you can define your audience, and so personalization can mean much more than making it special one-to-one. Don't believe in one-to-one. I don't believe in it hardly at all, because there's no economies of scale, and even turn of the drum personalization is try and make it pay. I worked with Musician's Friend for about 18 months. We were doing 4 editions of catalogs per month. We were mailing about 500,000 catalogs per month or more. And we had a drum version, we had a guitar version, we had a DJ version, we had a professional musician version, we had a beginner musician version, and we'd alternate all these different versions and mix them together. And the response did hold up, but the cost was so much more. And the trouble, it was so much work. And that wasn't anywhere close to one-to-one. That was like 100,000 of this and 100,000 of that. Very difficult to make it go. After about 18 months, they said, the results are good, but when you weigh it all out, it's not that much better than mailing a good catalog, a big catalog, to everybody. I said, exactly. I've been saying that for decades. So we went back to the big catalog. And then, never mind whatever happened. Anyway, take time to define your audience. Direct mail is better received. The internet is full. Mailboxes aren't. Good point. Great point. And there's some stats there. Why are organizations not using mail? Higher cost. That's a myth. When you take the bounce rate of Google, just industry standard numbers, the bounce rate 50%, landing pages, Keith mentioned 80%. This was from Ad Week, I believe, did this study about 3 years ago. And when you figure the cost of a click is $5 or so, now you've got the bounce making it $10. Now you get to the 1 or 2% response rate. Okay, and so you're spending $10 up front to get the 2% response, where you could spend $1 per piece or less. Something like this, nowhere near $1. Wonderful, especially if you can print it yourself. So direct mail can be way more economical. That's not what the problem is. Having addresses, that is a problem. And she mentions address lookup based on IP or email. Not a very high percentage. It's so astounding to me, like LinkedIn. Okay, 11,000 connections, no address. They don't ask for the address. They don't give me the zip code. They don't even ask for the zip code. They just have these generalized names which change over time. Greater Milwaukee area or Wauwatosa. They're in the same neighborhood. So the digital world has basically hamstrung itself by not even asking for the physical address. It's a terrible mistake. Okay? Here, collect mail addresses through an automated campaign to send swag gift cards. So a imprinted merchandise company, especially they do apparel, had an offer a couple of months ago, said free samples. I thought, okay, I'll get a pen and a pencil and a mug or something. I got this beautiful fleece, not this one. Nope, this is a Land's End. And the Land's End here. But a beautiful fleece, large. I think they must have sent a large to everybody. I love it. It's one of my favorite fleeces now. And I got it for free. Now they have my address. I have not received one follow-up mailing. I have not received a follow-up call. I called the business card attached to the catalog in the box and said, call me back. I'm interested in what's happened on this campaign. I reached out to the president, who I know from years back, or the CEO of the company. I think he's the owner of the company. And nothing. Crickets. Okay? but they have my address. Okay. Traditional, yeah, okay. Stick with this show. Direct mail is the most cutting edge channel today. Why? And this is where we get into the strategic aspect of direct mail. The strategic aspect of direct mail is that you can clearly, because of the 100% engagement, because of the cost, because it goes to the decision maker, because of all of those things, when you stop or when you don't mail a random sample, you will get lower results. I have never seen it not work except when Channelview messed up the match, and we helped them. We saved it. That was for Musician's Friend also. And they just misplaced $3 million at the top of the model. But anyway, the top 3 or 4 segments. Anyway, so the thing about mail is we can do attribution. Brad mentioned that briefly, but he said you have a good attribution model. That is not the way to do it. If you do that, the digital will win. They will track every order that the mail generates back to some cookie on that person's website. Because you get the mailing, you go look up the website, you get the cookie. Now, digital gets credit. Okay, so here's the game. Stop doing digital for a couple of months. See if anything happens. Then stop a segment of the mail. I mean, digital, it's hard to stop a segment because it's just all over the place, right? Or don't stop your digital. Just stop the mail and keep all the digital. I've done that with I don't know how many companies. Half a dozen anyway. And mail is an obvious differential. Usually 300% ROI. Bottom line, EBITDA, ROI, return on investment on your mailing piece. And if you don't know what all those terms are, go talk to your CFO or have him call me. I love talking with CFOs. They like me too. Okay, so mail is first of all trackable. Second of all, because someone engages in it, because we mail to the house and we ship to the house, or we can track the orders that you get subsequent, because we have those two things. We have the right answers and the wrong answers. Like when Jeopardy, when Watson tried to learn Jeopardy, they had 127,000 right and wrong answers. Every mailing, we generate a labeled data set. And from that labeled data set, we can make AI and machine learning work. Okay? And this is why direct mail can be a strategy. It can be a strategy. No. It's a long range. Yeah, I would say if you do it over and over and over for the reason of customer analysis and understanding and testing. If you establish mailing as a system, then I think it has strategic implications. I think it will strategically help you develop weaponry that your competition doesn't. But I have yet to see any articles that mention that. So there's something for all you on this show today. Why don't you go out there and write an article, copy everything I said. Have a great day. Like and share. Show notes are available at wdma.org. Subscribe. Just click on the join button. It's free. Or support our efforts and become a member. And there's some special things happen for those.